Got a cat coming our way. Nope. And down you go. Hello, welcome to the orbit. Today we're going to talk about generative and non-generative systems. Comes from this book by Jonathan Zittrain, The Future of the Internet and How to Stop It. Jonathan Zittrain's Twitter bio says that he is a professor at Harvard Law. He is, quote, a small creature who likes to run around in universities. Strange. He wrote a book about the generative capacity of the internet and what that means for people who use it and also lawmakers. We're gonna delve into generativity. Jonathan Zittrain advocates for a more generative internet with tools that are meant to amplify and grow the community rather than being dead ends intended for a singular purpose. So, definitions. Generativity is a system's capacity to produce unanticipated change through unfiltered contributions from broad and varied audiences. This means that a generative system is something that can handle a lot of chaos and grow from it. Plants are a generative system. Humans are a generative system. We are all very adaptable and capable of doing many different things. Now, if you are still confused, that's fine. Jonathan Zittrain characterizes generativity through several factors. How extensively a system or technology leverages a possible set of tasks. How well it can be adopted to a range of tasks. How easily new contributors can master it. How accessible it is to those ready and able to build on it. And how transferable any changes are to others, including, and perhaps especially, non-experts. The best way to describe it is possibly through Wikipedia, which is the best example of a generative system. Wikipedia was just a framework that its creators put up with a loose set of rules and said, hey, please populate this online encyclopedia, and people did. Yes, some people put in some fake things, but moderators came in and corrected it. As you contributed to Wikipedia, you gained credibility and privileges to moderate and finely tune the information. As a result, it's one of the best reference guides that exists. It's one of the first things that we look at when we're looking stuff up. The internet lends itself towards generativity. Just imagine like an abandoned building and how plants or vines kind of overtake it, or the people that come in will fill it out with whatever that they have. A well-designed framework just invites people to come in and build it out, much like what we see with Wikipedia. The next segment we will call generative or not. And if you
He loves this shit.
If you would like to play Cheyenne, you can.
What are we playing?
Generative or not. Is a kitchen cutting knife generative or not?
I want to say generative.
I would say yes. Looking at Jonathan Zittrain's factors, a knife is generative because it's relatively easy to learn. You can adapt it to a variety of different tasks and leverage the technology to do a vast amount of things. So kitchen knife, yes. Generative or not. A garlic press. A garlic press is not generative. Reason being, it does one single thing. Have you seen these? That you push garlic through it and it comes out as like basically properly minced garlic. It does one task and it kind of ends at that task.
We need one of those, by the way.
This is true. It's not very generative.
Okay, are we gonna have a kitchen full of only generative items?
Ideally.
In case you're wondering what it's like today, Connor, this is it.
Wikipedia. Generative. PCMag.com. Not generative at all. It's unfortunate that I don't want to shit on PCMag too much, but when you log onto the website, I'm just hit with ads. The information isn't very good. I never go there anymore. But as far as a tool, it's not very generative. It's a magazine. You can't do much with it. Legos. Generative or not? Legos are super generative. Very easy to learn. You can make a bunch of different stuff out of it. And from childhood to adult, people love playing with Legos because they just make it really easy to build things. Whether it's spaceships from a movie you like, or just a dumb little car. Is a Okay, I'm gonna have you weigh in on this one, Cheyenne, if you'd like.
Yep.
Do you know what a dual disc is? From Yu-Gi-Oh?
Yes.
So a dual disc, is that generative or not?
Non-generative because it only serves one purpose, right?
I agree.
Like, you can do some dope-ass shit with
using your dual disc, you're playing a lot of games, but it generally serves one task. And you can learn it pretty easily, but it's not very adaptable.
Yeah, I would agree non-generative.
Great. So, why is this important? You may have a better idea of what a generative tool is now. If you just need an easy one, always think Wikipedia. The reason that I like generative systems is that they utilize a concept that Joey Ito and Jeff Howe talk about in Whiplash, which is the idea of pull over push. What this means is that on the internet, it is advantageous for you to pull from all of the resources and just the sum of intellectual capital that you have online, as opposed to pushing towards knowing everything that you need to and stockpiling resources. It would be silly to memorize all the words in the encyclopedia so that you could use them and know the definitions, and instead we have a tool that we can pull definitions as we need them. It's much quicker. Some people argue that this is making us dumber because we can't remember things more easily. However, I believe that human beings are getting very, very good at finding the answers that they need, even if they don't know them. This leads to a whole other, memory problem that I think we'll do a video on The Giver later to talk about what happens when people don't have memories anymore. But we are lucky to have Google to look up things very quickly. How does this make generativity relevant? If you put a framework online that people can use and they can learn it very quickly and make a bunch of stuff on it, that's a generative system, and the internet lends itself really well to this kind of stuff. Okay, I'm gonna read some things that I wrote down. What Joey Ito and Jeff Howe mean is that on the internet, it is advantageous to pull from a collective of resources as you need them, rather than exerting a continuous, singular effort on your part. Instead of hiring a team of 20 experts to write all of Wikipedia, you can get it done much more quickly and with more detail if you just open the work up for everyone to contribute. Similarly, if you are baking a cake, you can either spend time memorizing 5 cake recipes so you can quickly make the one that you want when you need to, or you can just look up the recipe of the one that you want to make when you want to make it. In both scenarios, you're saving yourself a lot of time and energy by pulling resources when you need them. In a generative system, a lot of times you are pulling from your users to generate content. Facebook is kind of a generative system in this sense because it's very easy to learn and it is populated by users. However, it's less generative because you can't really use the Facebook platform to do very much beyond targeted advertising. The scope and tools that Facebook offers are narrow and kind of low-reaching in their potential, at least for us. Google Docs, on the other hand, is an extremely powerful generative system because you can make essays, slideshows, just websites, you name it. Not only can you write essays or draft up a menu for your restaurant, but they provide a tool called Google Apps Script, which allow you to attach code to your documents so that they can auto-update or populate reports by themselves. It is really adaptable and far-reaching in the potential that you can do, and it is generally easy to learn and free. Why is this important? I think I already talked about this, but I'm really excited about generative systems because when you make one properly, I think this is a Max Kreminski quote that I'm going to look up real quick. A reminder, if inexperienced creators are using your tool to churn out loads of half-baked garbage, your tool is a phenomenal success. I love that. And that's exactly what's happening on glitch.com. I use glitch.com to learn JavaScript and general web development. It is a generative system that says, hey, we provide a development environment for you to make dumb things with code and publish them very quickly. And on the site, you can see people making like a Tinder for cookies. I made a small short story generator, and the reason it's a good generative system is that it's very friendly, it's inviting, and it has so much potential for what you can do with it. You can make it to make dumb little apps, or you could make something really intricate. When you used a non-generative system, like a toaster, that serves a singular purpose, it's very useful to have a toaster that you can't really tinker with or expand upon because it serves one purpose. If you want to explore what is possible and to learn things, you probably don't want to learn on a toaster, you would rather learn with a good chef's knife. Jonathan Zittrain argues that for law, we should be paying attention and fully understanding that a lot of rules get a little bit muddy when there are millions of contributors or users on a platform. So it's fun to think about. I'm not an expert, but that is the main idea between a generative system and a non-generative one. We'll see you next week. I'm a little sweaty because it's warm, but we're gonna turn on the fans and drink a lot of water.
Sweet tea!
Sweet tea! I'm gonna find the button properly this time.
Nope, it's to the, yep.
Yeah!